Hey, how are ya?
Many months ago when I released my first video, I tagged myself in the One Piece Pirate Crew tag, where you create your own One Piece Pirate Crew in an effort to find the One Piece. Well, we're back, and we're making another powerful crew to take over the new world. If you haven't already, make sure you go over and watch my first Pirate Crew tag and let me know which crew you think is stronger. The rules to the game are simple. You are of course the captain of your crew. And other than being the captain, you get to decide your secondary role. You can choose whether or not you have a devil fruit. You have 12 crewmates, 6 main fighters and 6 support characters. They can be dead or alive, canon or non-canon, but they cannot be a Yonko. You make your crew's ship, and the rule I added was that chemistry and how well a crew fits together is important to choosing your members. Before we get to my backstory and my abilities, let's talk about my crew's pirate ship. In the many ships One Piece has shown us, I still believe that Law's submarine is the coolest one of them all, because let's be honest, submarines are pretty damn cool. And to be the king of the pirates, we need to strike fear in the eyes of our enemies, so what better than to take the biggest menace in the ocean? The killer whale. Killer is literally in its name, and from all the countless TikToks I've seen of these sea pandas tormenting other animals, I think this is a safe pick. So what my crew will be traveling around in, a huge orca submarine that can travel at high speeds. Now that we got our cruise ship, it's time to get into me and a little bit of my backstory. First of all, my secondary position other than being the captain of my crew is to be the submarine specialist / the shipwright of the crew. Now, me as the captain of the crew, I have to be as powerful as my crewmates, which is why I'm no regular human. I'm part of the Lunarian race that has been wiped off the face of the earth. Lunarians have black wings and pretty much have the ability to bend fire. And unlike King, I'm not going to be dressed up in an all-black freaky deaky suit hiding my identity, because if I see government ships and members, it's always on sight for me. But I am a full-blood Lunarian who managed to escape the world government and went into hiding from island to island, cloud to cloud, and cave to cave, gaining strength and raising my bounty. Throughout my time running from the government, I end up accidentally eating one of the most broken devil fruits ever. The Rule fruit. This fruit is very similar to Stars and Stripes Quirk from My Hero Academia called New Order. If you don't know what New Order is, it is very, very broken. It basically allows you to change reality itself. Stars and Stripes is the #1 hero in America, and from my understanding, her quirk literally lets her set new rules on herself or other things and beings around her, but she must know the full name of the person she's setting a rule upon and has to touch them. With this fruit, I am freely able to set 2 to 3 rules until it starts to become difficult for me, sort of like how Law's Op fruit takes major stamina from him when using his fruit. For example, the first rule I can give myself is, I am as strong as a giant. Now that rule is set, I can set another rule like, I am permeable, which allows me to go through solid objects and punch with the strength of a giant. But if I add another rule, it will take a toll on my body and can make me collapse. Now a quick recap. My ship is a submarine orca, which I like to think is about the same size as the Thousand Sunny. I'm one of the last living Lunarians, and I have the ability to fly using my wings, and my durability and speed gives me an upper hand in fights. In terms of combat, I am obviously good at hand-to-hand combat, but why use my hands when I have the literal ability to bend fire to my will, and as well having the Rule fruit, which allows me to play with reality itself. And an added bonus, I've decided to give myself an unnamed blade of my own, which I would be using on the more weaker opponents. Now, in terms of hockey, I of course have all 3 types of hockey, specializing more on the conquerors than the other 2, as those are a must-have if I want to become the king of the pirates. Now, the first member of my crew is probably one of the most important roles for a crew headed to Laugh Tale. My first commander is none other than the sword god Shimotsuki Ryuma himself. Now, of course, the Ryuma that will be my right-hand man is Ryuma from when he was alive, even as a zombie. We already see that Ryuma's swordsmanship is not your run-of-the-mill swordsman. It is said that when someone would accidentally bump into Ryuma, he would immediately pull out his blade as he took it as them challenging him. This is exactly what I want in one of my commanders, as anytime I see a member of the government, it makes me think of my Lunarian brothers and sisters, and now it is on sight for anyone on the wrong side of me. Although we don't know much about Ryuma, being called the literal sword god might be all you have to say to convince me of this guy's power, which is exactly why he is my first mate. I need my crew to be as cold as ice, which is why the second commander of my crew is none other than Kuzan himself. Kuzan has arguably one of the strongest devil fruits in the series, and not only that, this guy was literally an admiral, and we've seen him use his ability many times before, so his strength can't be questioned. One of the best parts about Kuzan is that he's very laid back and just seems like a person that you could chill on the ship with and actually become good friends with, but when it's time for us to get into battle, you already know who's going to freeze the opponents in a matter of seconds. On my crew we have quite a few devil fruit users, so I can see Kuzan's ability to literally freeze the entire ocean being able to save us in lots of situations. The third commander of my crew I feel is one of the more underrated characters in the whole series, and definitely one of my favorite characters of all time. I need my crew to strike fear in the eyes of our enemies, which is why Magellan is a great fit to be my third commander. From what we see during the Impel Down arc, we know that Magellan has a soft and more fun side to him that you can easily talk to and vibe with when we're sailing on a regular day on the ship. But when it's time to get serious, we all know that Magellan will flip a switch and immediately get into his serious mode. He literally tried to end the series early by unaliving our main character. The match of my Lunarian abilities plus my broken devil fruit, which basically gives me the ability to use any devil fruit, plus Kuzan's ice powers, Ryuma's swordsmanship, and now Magellan's venom demon. The new world is not ready for us because we still have 9 more crewmates to go. Now on my crew we have a lot of psychopaths and members who would unalive you without hesitation. So I need someone on my crew with a good sense of justice and good morals. Which is why the 4th fighter on my crew is none other than Fujitora himself. Now we're stacking up on very powerful devil fruits, and I even think that Fujitora hasn't completely shown us everything that his devil fruit can do. In an imaginary scenario, he can help us escape situations by simply touching our submarine and floating us away. Not only is his devil fruit powerful and that he is a literal admiral, he is also one of the more powerful swordsmen in the series, and if all hell breaks loose, he can always summon a meteor. Now you may have noticed that the crew is starting to stack up with devil fruits, which is why I had to pick up a non-devil fruit user, at least from what we know he doesn't have a devil fruit. The 5th fighter of my crew is Lucky Roo, who is said to be the fastest man in the whole series. We know that he is one of Red Hair Shankswings, so he must have to be powerful. Not only that, but we also know from the very beginning of the series that he is definitely about that action. He was also the one that stole the mythical Zonica fruit from a marine ship. An added bonus with Lucky Roo is that not only is he powerful, he is also able to be the cook of our ship, which is a must-have on any pirate crew. The 6th fighter of our crew has one of the more important roles on the ship. Our 6th fighter is Kawamatsu, my favorite scabbard, who serves not only as a fighter, but he is also able to help the crew out for when one of the devil fruit users fall into the water, and he is not only a skilled swordsman who we know is quite powerful, he is also a fish man, giving us a strong fighting force in the water. And since Kawamatsu is from the land of Wano, that must also mean that he looks up to Ryuma and could learn and continue to get stronger by learning from him. Now that we have our main fighters, it's time to move on to our 6 support characters. The navigator of our crew is the one and only Beppo, who probably has the most important role on a pirate ship. To reach Laugh Tale, a navigator is a must-have, and what's better than a navigator? A polar bear navigator. Beppo is not only going to take us to the One Piece, but he also has experience inside a submarine, which means he could help me out with running the submarine, and he also has prior experience around doctors, which means that he could help our doctor out. He's part of the mink race, and he has shown us plenty of times before that he is no pushover and that he could fight. The doctor of our crew is the cotton candy loving Chopper. In a recent chapter we finally get to see Beppo's Su Long form, even if the moon wasn't out, and he explains that he got something from Chopper, meaning that Chopper could help heal the whole crew and help Beppo get into Su Long form whenever. Chopper not only adds a bit of cuteness and charm to the crew, but he also serves as one of the more fun crew members to be around, and to be the life of the party, him and Beppo are sure to bring more joy to the ship. The next member of our crew not only adds a bit of chaos and fun to the crew. The scientist of my crew is none other than Lilith the Evil. She could help us create weapons and different inventions that would help us get stronger. Although Lilith is not the main Stella body, we can't forget that she is literally still Vegapunk. Which means that just like Vegapunk, she could still invent and solve things like how the smartest man in the world does. Not only that, she could also make us a bunch of robots, sort of like an army of our own pacifistas. Now we have a lot of serious members on the crew, which is why to lighten up the mood, what better than to get a musician aboard. Now our musician is none other than the Soul King himself, who spent a whole 2 years literally going on a world tour, so we pretty much get a free concert from a worldwide rock star every single day. Not only does he serve to lighten up the mood on the ship and play us some beautiful music, we have seen countless times that he is also a very capable fighter. Now to reach Laugh Tale we need to be able to read the poneglyphs, which is why Robin will be the obvious archaeologist of the crew. But I'm not taking any Robin, I'm choosing to take pre-time skip Robin when she was literally breaking people's necks and spines without hesitation. Now of course she's going to get stronger over time, but since our 6 fighters are already very powerful, she can put all of her focus into reading the poneglyphs and figuring out what happened at the Void Century. Now the last support character was a tough decision, but at the end of the day I couldn't go wrong with choosing Bartholomew. Not only is he outgoing and fun, he is also very loyal, a very capable fighter, and his devil fruit is the best defensive devil fruit in the whole series. So now that we have a very powerful offensive force on land, in the air, and in the water, we now have Bartholomew serving as the defensive end for our crew, not only protecting the submarine, but especially protecting the rest of our support characters, sort of like their very own green-haired bodyguard. Now that we have our full crew, a couple years ago Tekking101 used to do a little series where we are sent to the One Piece world and must roll a dice to find out where we land in the One Piece world, so I've decided to add on to that as well. And we will be rolling different number dices to find out where we start in the One Piece world and lots of other outcomes. The first reference table has us rolling a d6 to see where we start in the One Piece world. Now we land on the number 5, meaning that we start off our journey in the paradise side of the Grand Line. Now since we landed in paradise we roll a d20. We landed on number 7, which means that we start our adventure on Skypiea. Next is to spin the wheel on what our rival is. Now that we've spun the wheel, my rival is a marine. Now that we find out my rival is a marine, we use Tekking's trusty list again of marine ranks and roll a d11. We land on the number 11, which means my rival is either Sengoku or the donut maker himself. And after spinning our trusty wheel, we find that our rival is the donut maker Fleet Admiral Sakazuki. Now for a full crew recap. We travel in a Orca submarine. I am the captain of the crew in the shipwright, I am a full-blood Lunarian who wields a sword, and my devil fruit is the rule fruit that allows me to set rules upon myself and the things around me. My right-hand man and first commander is Shimitsuki Ryuma. My second commander is Kuzan. My third commander is the Warden Magellan. My fourth fighter is Admiral Fujitora. My fifth fighter/cook of the crew is Lucky Roo. And for my last fighter the Kappa Kawamatsu. My navigator and a crewmate who could help me around the submarine is Beppo. The doctor of my crew is cotton candy-loving Chopper. Our scientist is Lilith the Evil. Our musician is the Soul King Brook. Our archaeologist is Nico Robin. And for defensive purposes we have Bartholomew. And the Void Pirates start our adventure at the Sky Island Skypiea, where we have to take down the so-called God Inaru before heading back down to the Blue Sea, where my rival might try to turn us into magma donuts while we continue our adventure to becoming the king of the pirates.
Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. Ha, ha, ha.